On the Road Truck Simulator is a game that's had a rocky start since its console release in February 2021, and today I want to talk about the game more, the recently released patch 1.0.6 or 1.6 as it's referred to by the developer, and answer the questions that many people have asked and continue to ask. Is it really that bad? Is it any good? And is it worth buying? These are not easy questions to answer by any stretch. But before I do that, I want to ask that if you're not already subscribed to the channel, that you go ahead and hit that subscribe button. It would really help me out a great deal, and if you enjoy this video, please do leave me a like. Today we're going to lay all the facts on the table and bring you up to date with all the latest news surrounding this game and run you through the latest patch notes. So let's hit the road and get started. So firstly, there may be a few reasons why you're asking these questions. You may be thinking about picking this game up for the first time, or you may have picked this game up in the past and uninstalled it because you were waiting for an update. You might have checked out one of my previous videos on this channel about this game and are following along up to this point. If you have checked out one of my previous videos, you will have noticed that I've tried to keep a positive tone about this game despite my initial first impressions. So when I first picked up On the Road a couple of months ago, I was extremely disappointed. I had watched the trailer, gone into this game with hopes that what I'd read about this game were wrong, and really hoped that it would be the truck simulator that we've all hoped that it would be on console. Gaming on the Series X has been great since the start of this generation, and has allowed me to enjoy both digital and physical next-gen content, but when I heard this game was digital only on Xbox, although it is available physically for PS4 and will soon be available physically for PS5, I felt uneasy because a digital purchase adds an element of risk for me, because there's no opportunity to sell the game on if I had issues with it or if I just didn't like it. So when I bought this game from the Microsoft Store and booted it up for the first time, I could not believe how poor this game looked and how poor it was to play. Even the menus looked subpar. Playing this game was nothing short of awful, and I was flabbergasted that this game had been released. It really looked like the type of thing you'd find not even in early access on PC, but something that was in the early alpha stages. I was so shocked at some of the bugs that I saw that I captured a short clip that I thought was lost up to this point. But here you are for the first time ever. I've managed to download this video from the Xbox servers, and this is me getting started with this game, and I'm sure you'll be amused at some of the bugs that you'll see in this clip. But outside of the floating cars suspended in midair, I'm sure you'll agree that the textures and general look of the world are really bad. The game also didn't have mirrors on Xbox at release, whereas other games like Truck Driver and SnowRunner have had mirrors since release, very adequate mirrors at that. Now, I don't know if you know, but this game features licensed trucks from Scania and MAN, and there's possibly more brands coming to On the Road, but for a licensed vehicle to be included in a game, the modelling of the truck has to be signed off by the manufacturer themselves, so it goes without saying that Tektronix/Aerosoft must have gone to particular lengths to ensure that the modelling and look of the truck was absolutely flawless, which really says something about the degree of detail that this developer is capable of. So if they can get the trucks right, why couldn't they get the rest of the game right? Well, that's a really great question. I think it's important to talk about the development of this game because I was really struck by something that I heard in an interview by Fabian Bouleg that was conducted by GameTech UK. He said that the PC version of On the Road has been in development for 7 years, at one point being in early access and partway along that journey switching to the Unity engine, which is one of the reasons that the developer states for having so many bugs and issues on release. Now, the switch to Unity is one thing, but the fact that this game has been in development for so many years and still is in such a mess is absolutely mind-blowing to me. When I said that the first time I played this game, it looked like it was early access, I wasn't joking. In fact, I was so shocked at how bad this game was, I requested a refund. Microsoft Store quickly provided a refund for me with no issues. So I pretty much left this game alone after that. I wasn't going to go back to it, but then I learned that they'd made a few changes to it and updated it and decided to jump back in. I knew I most likely wasn't going to request a refund for the second time. I mean, who does that? But I've enjoyed this game for what it is, at least to a certain degree. Yeah, the graphics are still pretty rough, the AI is absolutely mental at times, and the controls are dodgy, especially seeing as steering wheels don't work on Xbox, so everybody's forced to use a pad, even though I don't even have a steering wheel, but the controls are still terrible, trust me on that one. I've summed this game up in the past as being one that you need to use your imagination to enjoy. You really need to find ways to immerse yourself in the world and make excuses for weird things that happen and find your own way of enjoying it, because the positives are that the trucks are really well modelled, they sound really freaking good, and generally speaking, this game plays fairly competently now that some of the bugs have been cleared up. So what's to come for this game? Well, a new patch has landed for both Xbox and PlayStation owners, and the developers already released a video talking about how the patch was out and how PlayStation owners were having crashing issues, and some even lost their save games. Bear in mind, this isn't the next gen patch, but that is on the way soon for PS5 owners, and who knows when the Series X version will arrive. Funnily enough, there was no mention of a Series S version in the latest news video. What I want to do now is run through the patch notes for update 1.0.6, and then I'm going to give my summary of whether or not you should buy this game. So here's the details of patch 1.0.6, which is out now. Here's the changes they've made, in my own words. Running through red lights now results in the flash of a camera and a fine. Whether this is a welcome inclusion for people that like to drive through the red lights or not is questionable, but if you want realism, this is certainly a good change. There is now different speed limits through towns and cities, although so far I'm yet to really notice this one. There is supposed to be a way of quickly looking left or right by pushing the D-pad in either direction, which would be useful for quickly glancing left or right at junctions, but this doesn't work for me. All I get is the quick menu when I press the D-pad. They fixed a mirror issue on scanning your trucks where some artifacts were appearing, although I didn't experience this problem myself. You can now paint your trucks with new liveries. These are predetermined designs, but you can choose the colour, text, etc, and they cost €44,000. The bug where you can't save your seating position has now been resolved, and you should be able to adjust your seat position just once and it'll save. You can now invert the Y-axis at freaking last. They fixed the sound issue, which resulted in some players losing sound altogether. You can now hear the outside world at louder volumes when you stick your head out the window to reverse. They resolved some issues with the computer not appearing correctly on new trucks, and if you run out of fuel, you will now be rescued by emergency services instead of having to restart the game. Also, a number of performance issues have been fixed, particularly on PlayStation 4, and finally, they fixed a bunch of AI issues, although from my experience, AI drivers are still absolutely crazy. Now that's my takeaway from the rundown of patch notes found in the developer's video, and as I've shared, some things work and some things don't. I'm not really over the moon with happiness that the custom liveries cost money. 44,000 is a lot for what you get in return. I'm disappointed that the quick glance left or right doesn't work. I wonder if this is the result of further issues and that it's been removed just to avoid crashes or something of that nature. What I can say is that the developer appears to be committed to communicating with the audience and to fixing this game. In their interviews and update videos, they have at least apologised to gamers for these issues, and I'm really pleased that they've done this because other developers will pass the buck or just not apologise when they need to. I think it's important to note though that this developer has placed a lot of blame at the feet of Sony and Microsoft for especially early issues with this game, and they have continued to state that they haven't been able to test the Xbox One/PS4 version of this game on retail consoles, and that they don't have access to a Series X dev kit, so they can't provide a release date for the Series X Next Gen update. They have blamed the Unity engine as well, and its limits for some of the bugs that this game has had. When does all this end and you actually just take responsibility for having a game that is clearly still in development out on the market, being sold as a finished product? Anyway, I really want to stay positive about this game. I want to tell you that it's worth the money and that it's fun and that it's a rewarding game, but at this point my summary is that this game is not worth the purchase, and I don't know if it ever will be. I hate to say that, and I really hope they can sort it out and that I can change my mind on this point soon, but for now, that's my summary. Now the next gen patch could add a lot to it, with an improvement to graphics and performance, but with 4K resolutions being promised, you need to have better in-game textures for that to really count for anything, and at this stage I'm not really sure how that's going to work. We're not going to spend all our time looking at the beautiful trucks, are we? We want to drive them, and we want to drive them well, with great enjoyment and wonderful surroundings. I guess when the next gen patch drops, that will be a video for another day. Anyway, I want to say a huge thank you for checking out this video. If you enjoyed it, please do leave me a like, and if you want to see more videos like this, please subscribe to the channel. If you enjoyed this video, please do stick around for more videos like this by clicking on one of the links shown on screen. Thanks for coming through, and I'll catch you again soon.